Alright guys, Papa Pepper here. Man, this is the winter, right? Okay, it's December. Got my short sleeve shirt on, but this is kind of the one opportunity that I've got to take my entire garden and get it where it needs to be, and also expand some stuff, get things prepared. So far, I'm kind of rocking it in my own opinion. Kind of really doing a good job, meaning that a lot of the beds, a couple things have happened to them. Number one is I'm adding another layer of mulch in between everything. You can see it pretty deep in some areas. So I'm running loads of mulch right now while I've got the winter. Another, you can see it really good over here by the grapes, is that I'm adding another layer of rocks to make these things deeper. So I'd been talking to Shalom Acres a while ago, and they were seeing what I was up to. And like, you just gonna kind of add more layers of rocks and make those things deeper as you go? And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I am. Yeah, that sounds great. That makes a lot of sense. So each year, if I need to, you know, hopefully the mulch will be enough to suppress for a couple of years. But I laid down the first layer, compacted that, and now I'm laying another layer on top for the winter. We'll get walking on it, let that take care of the pathways here. But then by adding another layer on the mulch beds, the compost beds, the garden beds, the raised beds, I can add a layer of compost and rabbit manure, more soil, and then, you know, cover them for the winter. But they'll be deeper, and it'll be nice and excellent and deeper. So I'm just gonna kind of walk around. I'll do a little talking, maybe play some quiet music in the background, and then show you what we're dealing with today. So I've still got to work on that mini barn back there. That's my build. But right back here, I'm gonna put some St. John's wort. I've got a seedling over there I still want to get in, so I'm gonna make a raised bed for that. These ones are all covered here. Adding the more mulch across all of this. Here's where I cut down my figs. All these guys, you know, are going. They're getting ready. This one I just got to add a little bit more rabbit manure to, and I'll cover it. But a lot of these are ready to go and getting good. Some of them I still need to clean up. This needs to be cleaned up. This one still needs to be cut down. These naranjias are really thorny, savage beasts. I'm gonna have to burn those. And then this is the whole untamed area that I never really got through. Here's where I planted the carrots. Got more raised beds to finish, but this whole area is gonna get done and suppressed with mulch, raised beds built on it. From this pasture up here, I'm actually we'll probably put a rock wall across here eventually. This will just be a rock wall. And then here, I'm gonna let there be a walkway from this pasture all the way along the backside of here. So the garden will be on this side. There'll be a runway for sheep and goats, cows, whoever we've got. These are all still my seedlings from the other year. So I got witch hazels, I got service berries, I got plums, all sorts of stuff I'm actually getting in now in preparation for the summer. And then this area here that the sheep and goats are in is actually going to be phased in the garden. They're just keeping it suppressed for me right now. I will eventually work my way across there. Right, guys? And begin to kind of, add garden there. But a couple things I got to do is get what I've got going tamed. You know, make sure I keep control of what I do have going, which is why these winters, although I don't like not gardening as much, it gives me a jump on the following year, eventually underneath the hops vines here. So my hops are running up here. Here's their bed. I'm gonna build a mini shed back underneath here, and we'll go from there. And this whole area, which is the center of my drive-through, will be plants too. There'll be the drive-through coming through where I'm walking, and then this will all be garden on my other side as well. There's the garden pond I dug with the mini-X. Still got to finish that and then bring it straight up into here. So really this whole interior section here is just going to be food and animals. So plants and animals. So this whole section, you can see my truck and trailer are down the actual driveway loop, and then kind of here's the center of it. where we've got the yarrow bed and some fruit trees, and then here's the, you know, the normal entrance. So normally you ride up, you loop around, and you come out where I'm heading in this time. But I pulled up this way because I want to start unloading some of this free mulch just to suppress things here. A lot of what we got going on outside of the poultry is greenbrier. Like this is here, a lot of it's just greenbrier, so I'm gonna hack it back, suppress it, and when they shoot through in the spring, that'll be great. We'll harvest a lot of greenbrier to eat. Very high protein. We think it tastes kind of like a cross between like asparagus and peas. Really good stuff. We like it for a wild food. We'll plant some passion fruits and stuff up the edge of this poultry one here, and then just kind of let them live inside here. And we started planting in some of the fruit trees in here. There's a couple plums, I think, in this one. Maybe a peach too. And then same thing with the chickens and the other ones heading through. So this whole area you see me standing in is going to be an orchard eventually. The long-term plan is to get some, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to get some fruit trees, and I'm going to set this down for a second. Yeah, you can't even see me there. Okay, we're going to get some fruit trees in first of all. And then we're going to start kind of building a whole little kind of permaculture, food forest, little ecosystem here outside of where we have our chickens, ducks, guinea fowls, and stuff like that. So we'll get the fruit trees in. We'll be planting a number of things on the ground, using some different garlics and onions, using some daylilies, probably some mint, some creeping Charlie, just different things just to kind of turn this into a whole little thing. I'm actually going to be building like a brooder house here too, which is, this is the corner post for it. And I've got water and electricity right here next to me. So when we're incubating eggs, doing things like that, we can have this little area. It's going to run out for a good area here. But then the rest of this is going to be, like I said, just different fruit trees and food bearing stuff. And we're going to actually use big stepping stones to make a walkway for the kids to do their chores. What you looking at, son? Dad. Oh wow, that's cool. So he just found one of our bones we pick up out of the creek. This whole inside where my pinky is just a bunch of marrow that's ready to go, but I'm gonna crush this up and stuff. But it was laying like this, and some little caterpillar put its thing there. Put it back so it can hatch in the spring, and stop dumping that stuff out. Keep it upside down like it's supposed to be. Yeah. Okay, thank you, son. So that's part of my plan today, is just chopping out some of this stuff, mulching it and suppressing it, and then, you know, it just kind of keeps the stuff that we don't want growing here from growing. Stuff will still be popping through, like the greenbrier, like I said, but we'll keep it covered, and then we'll just kind of dig into it and enrich certain parts of it as we begin to plant various things that'll be perennial and also worthy of, you know, being used medicinally, nutritionally, whatever else, and just kind of let it spread from there. So we'll see how it goes. But I gotta get this trailer unloaded. Mama needs stuff. Alright, so let's talk for a minute. First of all, some people are going to think I'm destroying a lot of stuff, right? I'm cutting down trees, I'm removing the natural plants from the area and stuff, and it's true, absolutely. I'm also planting a ton of trees and bringing a ton of stuff that is indigenous to the area onto my actual property. I'm just focusing less on having, you know, blackberries everywhere and greenbrier everywhere and poison ivy everywhere, and having things that can be more beneficial for us and the animals, not only that we have, but also the animals, you know, that are wild around the area. Another thing, you may see that we're doing things a pretty simple way. I could come in here with some heavy equipment, scrape this whole thing bone dry, bring a dump trailer of mulch, dump it out here and just shove it out everywhere too. And sometimes we do things like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just that this way I get a mild workout, and I also get time to think. I've got a ton of stuff to do, but if I'm not actually thinking about how to do things and, you know, how it's all going to fit into my grand scheme, my grand plans, I'm I'm just going to kind of wing it even more than I am. So I like the time to think. That's definitely beneficial for me. And also, you know, you can see right now, this whole thing's just covered in mulch. But what that is that's going to be part of the soil building process over the years. So you throw things like daikon radish, other stuff out here, it'll penetrate down through this stuff into the, you know, actual rock and clay, which is the soil they kind of have here. And, you know, be down there to add some biomass to the ground. We're going to continue to build up this this whole area. Like I said, for the most part, it's going to be for plants, just going to be a couple walkways for people through and a driving lane on the outside. But this whole thing is just going to be built up eventually to be like a little mini perennial food forest garden where everything kind of works together to benefit each other, so they all do really good, so they can bless us and our animals. So right behind me then is a little area I'm going to build a little permanent raised bed for this St. John's wort. It's not looking the best, but it's alive. If I get it in the soil now, there's a better chance it'll be alive in the spring. And I hear once you kind of start this stuff, you really can't get rid of it. So what I'm going to do is make a nice walkway around it. That way it'll be easy to remove any that start from seed, and then have a nice established spot in the middle so that it can grow and thrive. So had to buy a new hoe because I broke my one. I ran it over with a front end loader a while ago, and the hoe kind of bent, and then I was using it the other day, and the wooden handle had rotted through. So I'll probably actually put a metal handle, maybe make one out of hickory soon enough. But picked up one yesterday in town with a fiberglass handle, big tough one. So I'm gonna kind of scrape away whatever's there, mulch it, and then make my raised bed for the St. John's wort. Okay guys, you saw that. One thing, yes, this is quite a bit of work, but if I do it once and I do it right, I'm really seeing that I probably shouldn't have to do it again. So what I've done is I've scraped that whole section clean. I've got everything I collected, which is those buckets there, and it's a lot of good soil, but it's got a lot of weeds and roots in it. I'm not sure if I'm going to compost it or just dump it over the fence into what's going to be the garden area where the sheep and goats are now, and in between their other meals they can kind of mosey through there, eat what they want, and just kind of give it all a chance just to kind of disappear and just only be good soil left. So I've got some rocks, I've got some topsoil. The plan is I'm going to make a ring of mulch on the bare earth. On top of that ring, I'm going to put my rock perimeter, and then I'm going to fill in that rock perimeter with some soil. Then I'm going to plant the St. John's wort in the middle of that, and then just kind of mulch the whole exterior as a pathway. So that's the goal, that's the plan. Here we go. Alright, so a lot of work, but I got a lot of little helpers. So a couple of them are checking on some of the sheep mama right now. These two are helping. You can see over here, I'll show you what it looks like up close. So across here I'm actually going to layer this deeper and then scrape up the rest of this grass right here, the green stuff, before I mulch that. But then I'll have a mulch way around here. I've got it planted right in the middle, little green guy, center screen, and it'll be able to, you know, expand and full out from there. I may plant some garlic or like walking onions or something around it, but I'm trying to leave a nice wide walkway between it too. So depending on whatever comes out here, whatever grows out from here, you still have a path. A lot of times I just plant a traditional garden. It was always way too packed to get between it. This year, even with the way I spaced out my whole garden, It was still, some of it would fill in. So also you can see there's quite a depth from the soil that I added all the way to the top. So I'm gonna mulch it for the winter after I plant whatever I'm planting in there, and then it'll give me room to build up for another year or two as I continue to amend the soil before I got to worry about adding another rock layer. So we kind of phase through this property and different things like this, and make different raised beds in these areas. And then, like I said, some of the other ones I'll leave it a little more haphazard, a little more wild looking, where you just have different layers of things. We've got various trees up top, and then your bushes and your vines, and then your kind of ground cover and your little shrubberies. But that's where we're at right now. Progress, you know. If you look around, I mean, there's tons of rocks that this family has moved onto this property, or moved around this property, most of it. A few did come from off-site, like this big guy here and some of the other ones. But hopefully it'll work out good for us for many years to come. And like I said, now this winter is the opportunity I've got to really try to catch up and get a jump start on next year's gardening season, so I can be ready to go as soon as spring hits. Some of the stuff will be coming back on its own, like the perennials. Other stuff I'll have to be building up and finishing up on my own, but moving forward. So just kind of a taste of, you know, this is December, guys. I don't even know what the temperature is, but most of the family right now has opted for short sleeves. I think only our littlest girl has real whatchamacallit on right now, a long sleeve shirt. So all right, plenty else to do. I'll see you guys later. Papa out.
As always, I'm Papa Pepper, and I'd like to remind you, don't post for free. If you'd like to be part of a revolution in social media, an economic power to the people where users can actually blog for cryptocurrency, then I'd recommend that you check out steemit.com and join the revolution. Papa out.